How's it going, guys? Winter Kills here. Welcome to a brand new Atlantean Mermail test hand video for April 2020. Of course, following the new Forbidden and Limited list. Biggest change being Deep Sea Diva going to 3, and I guess also Instant Fusion going to 1. But you know me, I'm not abandoning that ship whatsoever. I am playing that one of Instant Fusion, you bet your bottom dollar. Now we're going to go ahead and do probably about 5 test hands or so, all going first. And before we get into this, if you guys are interested in this beautiful 2-player silky smooth cloth playmat featuring the giant hand on this side and the Super Smash Brothers character lineup here, well, not most of them, a little bit of them on the reverse side, the Ultimate Brawl playmat. You guys can get this on their website right now. You can get it for 10% off. Here's the reverse side, 2-player. You can get it for 10% off using my discount code WinterKills10 off at checkout. Same thing with any of these sleeves that I'm using here on the main deck. You can see the two-toned inner color, the wine red and the white on the outside. Some of the best sleeves hands down that I've ever used. I highly recommend you guys at least give them a shot. Perfect for tournament use since these do not have the effects on the front. Some people get that mixed up still. Also, if you guys want to go ahead and support the channel by shopping on TCG Player, you can do so by clicking that affiliate link and shopping normally on TCG Player and checking out using that link at no cost to you. You can support the channels. I'll receive a small kickback from the revenue of your purchase. So if you want to help support the channel just by shopping on TCG Player, like you may do on a regular basis, make sure you click that link down in the description below of all of my videos. So that's all I really got to say. Also, consider hitting the join button if you want to become a member of the channel and help support in a unique way to get access to some exclusive perks and rewards in the community tab and things like that. So I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle here. I don't actually have my 3rd diva yet. I ordered sort of like a placeholder rare diva just for the time being, for the prices on the super rare ones to go down before I complete my super rare playset. But yeah, we're gonna do 5 going first test hands and see what we can do under this new Forbidden and Limited list. Alright, so the deck has been shuffled, and also one thing I want to mention that is if you guys want the deck list that I'm using for this video, it should be in the description below or in the comments. So if you guys want to see the deck list that I use for this particular video, again, it should be in the description. Taking a look at our opening hand here, we have Diva, Dragoons, Prince, and double Gunde. That's not the best, but now this is where we'd probably start by normal summoning the Deep Sea Diva and just pray and pray that they do not have an Ash Blossom. Alright, so of course we're going to start with the Diva though, and Diva is going to special summon a Prince from our deck, and then we'll use Prince's effect here to send Dragoons and add Dragoons as well as a copy of Megalo. You can see again the standard play is still remaining the same. The only thing we're really missing here is that Instant Fusion would be so nice to have in this hand. The way I'm looking is I am playing the True King of all Calamities in this build, as you might be able to tell by seeing it over here in the corner in the extra deck. But we're definitely not going to get access to this turn because we did not see Teus, nor did we hard draw the Mander. So the next play I see from here is to special summon Megalo by discarding these 2 copies of Dragoons. Chain links will be 3, 2, 1. We'll go ahead and add our Abyssgaios of the Mizuchi. Borderline useless card against continuous and field spells. And then we'll go ahead and resolve our last 2 Dragoons effects. First going to be to add a Sea Serpent, which is going to be the Moulin, and the other Sea Serpent is going to be an infantry. You can probably see where this field is going to shape up. Now, granted, one thing we could actually do is instead of adding the infantry, I guess, we could add another Megalo. So this is a bit of a different play, because the play that I was going to go for was just going to be link into Alacia, and then special Moulin, and then equip a field spell, and then have the infantry in hand to discard off of the Alacia. I guess it's pick your poison at that point. But from here, we're going to link off the Diva and the Megalo into a copy of abyssalacia, if I can find it. And then once we have 5 waters in our graveyard, this would be a good time to go ahead and special summon the moulinglacia. And then from here, we can go ahead and summon this last megalo by discarding the prince and the gun. Chainlink 1, chainlink 2. Gun will target this, and the prince will target the dragoons, just like that. And then from here, we don't have Mander, like I said, so we're just going to go ahead and overlay into a copy of abyssgaios, like that. And then we can equip our Mizuchi. And then, like, I guess from this point, we could link these two into Mistar Boy, or we could link all of these into Apollousa. It really just is sort of up to you, and sort of, I guess, whatever makes the most sense for the given situation. There's really no need to go into anemone to revive anything from our graveyard. Yeah, I mean, we could make a synchro here probably by linking these off. Well, we don't even have room for anemone to have a proper zone. But I guess you could go so far as to link those two off for the Mistar Boy, or like I said earlier, linking this, and this for a copy of the Apollousa. So that is one way you could play out that hand right there. Not the greatest, not the most flashy, but it is sort of standard Mermail still business as usual until we get that deep sea support, which I'm still looking forward to quite a bit, mainly because that ravenous crocosaur monster is going to be so nice within the main deck. And not to mention that we also have that deep sea aria search spell. The rest of the deep sea monsters I'm still currently not too keen on, but granted, I haven't had as much time as I would have liked to test those new cards. Maybe that will change within the near future, but right now I'm going to go ahead and shuffle up the deck, and we're going to go ahead and do another test hand. Alright, so I gave the deck a quick pile shuffle, and one other thing I want to mention about this build I'm actually, playing hand traps in. That's one thing I'm starting to open up to more and more as the format progresses. Just I find that maining some hand traps actually feels a little bit better for the most part. And in this particular build right now, I'm just trying 2 Ash and 2 impermanence. I'm trying not to overflow the main deck with hand traps, because those can make our bad hands a lot worse, especially since this isn't the diehard going second build. So I didn't want to clog up the main deck with too many, going second cards per se, like hand traps. But let's draw into our hand here. We drew the 1 of instant fusion, must be nice. And we drew Moray of Greed alongside of Desires, Moulin, and Gunde. This actually was a last minute change. This was Monster Reborn, but right now I'm actually kind of glad that it is Moray of Greed, and that was one thing I wanted to kind of experiment with within the realm of this video. But let's go ahead and use Moray of Greed here. And as you can see, I'm a pretty big fan of putting a lot of consistency cards into this deck, because this deck already has the issue of, opening Atlanteans with no Mermails, or opening Mermails with no Atlanteans, or not opening up enough waters, or opening up waters with not waters to use with them. So I'm just trying to fix that as best I can by shoving as many consistency cards in here as I can. Upstart, Moray of Greed, Pot of Desires, etc., etc. Just trying to do whatever it takes to give me the most opportunities to be able to have, to fix my hand if need be. So shuffled there, good enough. Let's draw into 3 fresh new cards: Dragoons, Prince, and Dragoons. That's pretty good. I'm going to start by normal summoning the Prince. We already have 2 copies of Dragoons in hand, which is great. But Prince is going to send Dragoons. We can't add Dragoons. So what we're going to do is, for the Atlantean that I'm going to add, this is, I guess we'll add a copy of Prince. And then for our Sea Serpent, let's see, we have a couple options here. We can add Moulin, or not Moulin, we can add Megalo. Yeah, let's add Megalo. I was going to add Lapis Dragon for a quick and easy way to get into the cross sheet play. Since we do have instant fusion, we're definitely going to try and take advantage of that with this hand. But I figured we can just sort of wait on it for the time being. Now we're special summoning the Megalo by discarding the 2 other Dragoons in our hand, and then chainlink 3, chainlink 2, chainlink 1. We'll go ahead and add our Abyss scale of the Mizuchi, and then we're going to go ahead and add moulinglacia, and I believe, what other cards do we want to get out of the deck currently? Let's add a copy of Infantry here. So we'll go ahead and add this copy of Infantry, and then from here we're going to link into Cross Sheep, and then we're going to special summon our moulinglacia, since that leaves us exactly with 5 in our grave. We'll summon the Moulin, somewhere where it's not going to get into the way. So we'll summon that there. 5 engraved there, down 2 cards. Now we'll follow up here with our instant fusion. Now I know some people were asking me why I choose mudragon specifically over rarefish, and I guess with the benefits that rarefish has, being able to be revived off of anemone, and also have the opportunity to be turned into abyssalacia is nice, and I totally agree with that. I just don't own a rarefish currently, and mudragon is sort of like the next best thing. But now we'll use cross sheep here to special summon out that dragoons when the fusion is summoned to that zone. Since we are playing in Master Rule 5, we can go ahead and summon this bahamut shark way over here and go ahead and detach that dragoons to go ahead and summon out the limited to 1 totally awesome from our extra deck, which just feels so foreign to say that this card is at 1, but I guess it is for the better. Make sure my zones are in the proper positioning there. But now we're going to use dragoons effect here, and we have a few options. One option being to go ahead and grab Lappis Dragon here, because if we grab Lappis Dragon, we can special summon that to our board, and we can also get access, because we have this Mizuchi that I would like to be able to use, since, you know, it is a free interruption that I'd rather not pass up on. And since we have infantry in hand, we can go ahead and just link the Lappis Dragon and the bahamut shark into a copy of Mermail abyssalacia right there. And then we can just go ahead and equip this Mizuchi right away. And then we might as well just go ahead and burn this desires and see what we can draw into. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Put those banished cards over there and pick up 2 new cards. It is teus and 1 for 1. Let's go ahead and take a look at the damage and see what we banished. Not too bad, actually. This is 2 copies of Deva out of the deck, but that's fine. We only need the 1. Teus, call by, upstart. Again, that's not bad at all, especially since we are netting these nice cards to our hand currently. And I believe we still have a gun left in the deck. Yes, we do. That's why I'm still playing. I'm playing 2 gun in this particular build because of the desires on the possibility that they could conflict. Now, we could take it even a step further here by summoning Teus and discarding the Prince, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1. This is going to go ahead and search that gunde, which is conveniently placed right where I happen to pick up the deck. And then we can use the infantry effect, or not the infantry, but the Prince effect to summon out dragoons. And we can keep going here by linking off the cross sheep, the Teus, and the dragoons into a copy of that apollousa bow of the goddess, which does have 3 counters in it. And again, if you guys want to get in on this amazing deck box from Imperium Duelist, you can. It's available on their website now. Absolutely amazing. Highly recommend it. But yeah, so that'll give us 3 counters there. And we have an infantry in hand and a 1 for 1 ready to go for next turn. The only really good card we'd need to draw at this point would be like a Pot of Avarice. And like, I'm starting to fancy the idea, perhaps, of adding a second Jar of Avarice to the deck, because that card is as much as it, like, it's an indisputable fact that that card will make bad hands worse 100% in this deck. I still like the risk reward of the extra pluses, but then again, it just might be win more in the cost of, you know, making bad hands worse when this deck already has a lot of consistency issues. May not be it for me. I don't know. It still will require a lot more testing, but a very good end board there. 2 turns in a row. I would say that board was a little bit better, like a lot better, and there's that Jar of Avarice right there. But yeah, looking pretty good so far. Let's go ahead and shuffle up, of course, one more time, and then we'll go ahead and draw into a brand new test hand for going first. All right, deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and draw into our starting 5 after we give the deck a cut. Starting with neptabyss, teus, Deva, Pot of Avarice, and gunde. Wow, I literally could not have asked for a more stacked hand. Luck is insane in this video, which is hilarious because usually my luck regarding Mermail is not the greatest. But there is still one thing to be said about this hand. As good as it looks on the outside, this hand is very, very vulnerable to Mrs. Ash Blossom. And that could easily stop our entire turn, which is a scary thought. But of course, a safer route to not auto lose to Ash Either way, we're still losing to Droll with this hand particularly, even though, I mean, I play 3 Call by the Grave. They're just being a bit shy today, I guess. Would be to start with a Prince, because if Prince gets ashed, we still get an additional card in our hand to work with. We're going to send Dragoons, they're going to ash this, or they're going to ash Dragoons, and either way we can still get extra cards to our hands to work with. But for the sake of the video, I'm going to start with the Diva, and Diva's effect, of course, is going to activate, and we are playing 3 Diva now, so opening 3 Diva, or opening a Diva and a Teus with 3 Diva in the deck and 3 Teus in the deck is a little bit higher of a chance now than I guess it has been in quite some time. So we're going to send Dragoons, add Dragoons, and Megalo. And the only thing that this hand is missing is that instant fusion, which maybe we will get lucky and draw off of our Pot of Avarice. But at that point, Pot of Avarice will probably be activated later on in the turn, and we'll have to make some sort of cross-sheet play to, you know, make it work to the best of its ability. Now we're going to go ahead and Teus Dragoons, and we're going to add Mander and Moulinglacia off of these 2 effects. Of course, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1, just like that. Now we have 2 Waters Engrave. Of course, we want to get to that 3 Waters, or not 3, but 5 Waters. And ideally would be 3 Waters Engrave right now. If we had 3 Waters Engrave right now, we could just link these 2 off, go into a link 2, and sort of party from there, get the Moulin on the board. But there is potentially a way to make a rank 4 as it stands. We would just need this Mander Engrave already, which we do not have a way to get in graveyard currently. But that should be okay. But what I'm going to do from here is summon Megalo by discarding, we could discard the Gunde and the Mander, or we could discard the Mander and the Prince, which is what I'm actually going to do. And then our Chainlinks will be as follows: Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1, targeting Dragoons. We'll go ahead and get that Mizuchi out of the deck and special summon the Dragoons from the grave. Now, this is working out a little bit better in our favor here, since we now have 3 Waters Engrave, which will allow us to easily link 2 of them away to gain access to that 5 water mark in the graveyard. And we'll go ahead and summon this Alacia right here. And then we'll go ahead and special summon this Moulinglacia right there. And then from here, we'll go ahead and use abyssmander to make these guys increase their levels by 2. So now they are both level 9, and you can sort of see where this is going to go from here. And that'll allow us to make the true king of all calamities, which basically can turn our opponent's entire turn off. Now, we don't have a way to make our, our Pot of Avarice live this turn, but what we can do is use this True King of All Calamities to call Water or Dark or whatever. That'll get us our 5th Engrave, and then we can go ahead and Avarice all of these cards right back into the deck. Now, if we draw that Instant Fusion, we can go ahead and add a Totally Awesome to this board as well, which will be very, very nice. So I'm going to shuffle the deck just a little bit more here and see if we can draw into the money card, the One of Money card. Draw 1, draw 2. We did not, but we draw into Teus and Impermanence, which is nice because that'll add some extra interruption. But now I'm going to go ahead and activate the Mizuchi, of course, onto the Alacia, set the Impermanence, and that's pretty much it from there. So the deck has been shuffled, and we'll go ahead and start off by, of course, giving the deck a cut, and we'll draw into our opening hand here for the 4th test hand, Moray of Greed, Called by the Grave, Pot of Avarice, Gunde, and our 5th copy of Dragoons. So again, I'm also really glad in this situation, this is not Monster Reborn. As I mentioned earlier, this is a card that moments ago before I made this video was a Monster Reborn, but I've decided last minute to switch it to Moray of Greed. A One of Moray of Greed also. Let's go ahead and hopefully we draw Teus Diva Instant Fusion off of this. That would be absolutely bonkers, especially since I got the Call by the Grave. I'm ready for those hand traps. Bring them on. But let's go ahead and shuffle. Cut the deck. We draw 1. That's a Megalo. That is a Aqua Spirit, and that is an Instant Fusion. And that is what we call an unplayable hand, which is often case, a thing in this deck. Sometimes you just don't see the right cards, and that is unfortunately where that turn ends there. Moray of Greed tried to save us and came close. We did draw Instant Fusion. We did draw a Megalo, but you know, not enough cards to work with. We would have had a Water Engrave to work with. We could have made a possible rank 4 play if that Aqua Sphere was perhaps White Stingray. We could have made Bahamut, Shark, and Toad. But again, that's still not enough at the end of the day. Alright, so I've shuffled the deck again here. Hopefully our next hand won't be as bad as the previous two. Those hands were absolutely awful, but I guess it is important to show off the other side of the coin with this deck, as you're not always going to end on really nice boards, because this deck does have extreme consistency issues sometimes, and it is important to show that off, because, you know, this deck, like I said, doesn't always pull off those nice boards, because there's that whole issue of needing water monsters, needing the right amount of water monsters, and just hoping you see the certain cards at the proper time. But it looks like this hand, luckily for us, is a bit better. I'm going to go ahead and start with Prince to send Dragoons, add Dragoons, and Megalo, and then I'm going to deck thin as much as possible before we go ahead and activate Upstart or Desires, because that way we increase our chances of getting the deck a bit thinner to draw into extra hand traps to reinforce our end board, or draw into more extenders like Instant Fusion, or things like that, really. Mainly just Instant Fusion or hand traps. But let's go ahead and see what we can do from here. We're going to go ahead and teus Dragoons. Discarding this, we're going to add Moulin. Well, we already have Moulin, so we can go ahead and add a copy of Mander and a copy of Prince. Alright, so from here, I'm going to go ahead and special summon the Megalo by discarding the Prince and the Mander. Chainlink 2, Megalo, Chainlink 1, Prince. Prince is going to revive that copy of Dragoons. And now we've pretty much deck thinned a lot out of the deck. So from here, we can go ahead and safely use cards like Desires and Upstart Goblin. But first things first, like I said, let's link these two off into Alacia, and then we'll special summon moulinglacia. All those rhymes right there. So let's go ahead and start with the Upstart. We draw into a copy of Called by the Grave, which isn't too bad, because that way we can sort of protect our Desires if need be. Let's go ahead and banish 10 off the top and draw into 2 new cards. And those cards are Impermanence and a copy of Neptabyss, so that's actually not too bad. Wanted to draw into some more hand traps, of course, to try and reinforce our established board. And Call by the Grave is a nice card for an interruption in some cases as well. So with that being said, last but not least, we'll use abyssmander to make our Mermails increase their level by 2 to make the true king of all calamities. Equip Alacia with our equip spell, set both Impermanence and Call by, and we have a copy of Neptabyss in hand for next turn, and we're drawing a copy of infantry if we don't happen to use the Alacia during their turn. But yeah, pretty solid hand. Since we did have some very short hands because they were like unplayable, I'm gonna do one more test hand for this video. Alright, so just finishing up, shuffling a little bit here, we'll go ahead and do our last and final test hand for this video, of course, going first, and see if we can pull off a decent board worthy of MR5. And we draw teus Dragoons, Called by the Grave, Neptabyss, and another copy of Called by the Grave. So I think it's pretty simple what we're doing here. We're going to start with the teus and, of course, discard the Dragoons, Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1. We're going to grab Mander here and Deva off of the Dragoons. That way we can hopefully set up a True King of All Calamities play. As much as I don't like the True King of All Calamities play, because it does add essentially a Garnet to the main deck. And it also sort of forces a play style where you're constantly always trying to go for it. And to me, it gets a little boring and uninteresting, but I do see the sort of competitive aspect of sometimes needing to go for that specific play, because this card is so powerful, and there's nothing really you can do to dispute that fact. So now we're going to follow up here with Deva. Let's say they have a hand trap for us. We'll go ahead and burn that Call by the Grave. That way we can continue to combo. We're going to go ahead and summon Neptabyss. Neptabyss's effect is going to activate Send Dragoons, add Dragoons, and of course that copy of Megalo to go along with it. And then from this point, we have a few options, one of which would be to link here into a Mistar Boy or an Alacia. But actually what I'm going to do is just summon Megalo, discarding the Mander and the Dragoons. We'll use Chainlink 2, Chainlink 1. We'll go ahead and search out our Mizuchi. And then from here, we're going to link into that Alacia. Well, first I need to not forget to search our Sea Serpent off of that Dragoon, which of course is going to be moulinglacia. And then we're going to continue on with linking into Alacia. And then from here, we're going to have to use Mander right now. That way we can get 5 waters engraved. Make these guys both level 9. And then we'll special summon the moulinglacia. And then we'll set the Call by the Grave, our additional copy of it, and play the abyssgaios mizuchi and leave the neptabyss in hand for a discard target for Alacia for next turn. But yeah, a pretty solid end board again. Moulin Calamities with Alacia is not terrible. But yeah, definitely will get the job done more often than not. But yeah, that's going to do it for this test hand video of Mermail Atlantean post-April 2020 ban list, of course. Master Rule 5. I did want to summon the True King of Calamities, of course, to the zone that Alacia points to get that 500 attack and defense boost. But yeah, that's going to do it for this video. Deck profile coming soon. Still got some changes that I probably want to work out. But for now, a temporary deck list will be in the description, so don't forget to check that out as well. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, we're going to kill signing out. We'll see you guys in the next one.